call the September 25th, 2025 City Commission meeting to order at 4 p.m. We have 4 commissioners present in person and 1 remote. We considered the minutes of the last meeting.
We have. They're very fine.
Everybody good?
No changes.
Lena, you good?
I am.
Very good, thank you. The financial statement, Mr. Rupp.
Thank you, Kim Rupp, Director of Finance. Good afternoon. This report contains financial summaries of the revenue and expenditure activities for the City of Hayes, month ended August 31, 2025. Revenues in August totaled $3,719,652. That is a decrease of $1,352,696 when we compare to the same period last year. Some notable areas of revenue increase. ARPA funding reimbursement to the airport increased federal government aid revenue $69,600. The good faith deposit on the recent bond issue increased capital projects revenue $287,500. Capital projects closeout and cleanup resulted in an increase to Commission Capital Reserve revenue in the amount of $161,000. Projects that we finalized included 8th Street, 27th Hall to Fort, and the 27th Street roundabout. Timing of the state gas tax receipts increased special highway revenues $149,500. And water sales and conservation revenue were up 31% or $114,000, with conservation revenue accounting for $55,000 of that increase. As we have 4 billing cycles, generally this is considered revenue on the July usage for the most part. Revenue decrease when we compare to August of 24. A large share of the noted decrease is for miscellaneous revenue in the Airport Improvement Fund. It fell $1,094,299 due to reimbursements on the Kansas Highway Patrol hangar a year ago. We have not received federal fund exchange funding from KDOT as yet for street maintenance projects. So special highway government aid fell $262,934. Expenditures in August totaled $5,216,342. That's an increase of $156,632. Comparing that to August of last year, some increased expenditures. The 32nd, 33rd project is finalizing, raising capital projects expenditures $633,400. CVB website expenditures rose $8,000 due to the timing of payment for the Visit Hayes web annual fee. New equipment reserve was up $257,600 for the purchase of a 3/4 ton pickup with snowplow and 4 groundsmaster mowers for parks and the sports complex. Special highway capital projects rose $446,000 due to continued street maintenance, including paving markings, seal coat, polypatch, and curb brick repair. Notable areas of decreased expenditure: airport improvement fell $140,000, again due to that KHP hangar going on. Bond and interest dropped $320,000 compared to last year's utility system bond payout a year ago. And city manager contingency expenditures were off $13,000 due mainly to the 27th and Main infrastructure design services last year. Month-to-date general fund sales tax collections were at $781,861. That was a decrease of $67,000 or 8% compared to last year. Year-to-date, general fund sales tax is up $65,000 or 1%. The 6-month average was flat, which was a year-over-year increase of just 0.11%. Year-to-date, county sales tax collections were at $778,400, up $14,000. The report of the top 10 quarter-to-date sales tax collections by classification was down $15,698 or 0.5%. Those top 10 represent 74% of the total for the running quarter. And finally, the par value of the U.S. Treasuries for August was $14,217,000 with a weighted average yield to maturity of 4.2%. That is down 0.31 from a year ago. Total of the portfolio of certificates of deposit on August 31 was $52,775,325 with a weighted average rate to maturity of 4.25%. Down 0.75% from a year ago, and the total balance of the money market account on August 31 was $1,201,799. Current weighted average yield on that was 3.94, down 0.22% from a year ago. Total investments were down $2,389,571. And hot off the press just today,
Oh, make it good
a
news.
little more positive
Good.
information. Sales tax is up 3% for September, so that's mainly July collections. That puts us at a 1.25 trend up for year-to-date. We budgeted 2%, a quarter to go, keep our fingers crossed.
You got them crossed. Any questions, comments?
No.
Make a motion to approve the August financial report.
Second.
No other comments? Sorry, jumped on you. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, my question, I guess you kind of answered is with the trend being down, are we concerned? But it sounds like maybe we came
Turn
back.
a corner.
Yeah.
So September, we talked about this today, September will be July,
Right,
or I'm sorry,
October,
October
October.
will be August collection. So maybe some summer sales tax yet, some
Yeah.
back-to-school shopping, we'll see.
I thought about back-to-school shopping. I really sat and tried to think what happened last year that made the significant difference. Did anybody think of anything that was unusual? I mean,
No,
it kind of slaps you in the face when you look at it.
you know, when you talk to a lot of businesses around town, you know, a lot of them said it's just been slower, and you know, maybe it's just a blip, hopefully. But I mean, things are.
We've had blips before and recovered
Absolutely.
pretty quickly, so hopefully that's what's happening now.
We had a low blip out at the museum
Really?
over the summer.
Something intriguing to me on the numbers for just today, for September, on that report by classification, online was up significantly, interestingly. So sales tax on online purchases.
Yeah. When I was looking at the differences, oh, I guess I have it here. The biggest number were in supermarkets, but of course, that's not the biggest percentage. It's interesting that department stores is an increase.
But you know, with our budget, you know, calling you basically for next year, very conservative as we talked. I think we kind of anticipated this a little bit, hoping for the best, but it's. I think that's why we kind of cut back a little bit.
Yeah, sales tax can be so volatile, so we try and be as conservative.
But it's extremely important to us.
Oh,
I found it interesting that the county sales tax was up and ours was down. What am I not thinking about there? It's something simple that's not working in my brain.
Shenzhen, Liebenthal, it's kind of a little
Yeah.
bit of a different,
Okay.
a little bit of a different footprint.
Okay. Okay, interesting.
It is.
The continued decrease with the electric, solar, wind, natural gas, is that still kind of the same decrease we've had
They
the last?
they were doing something, and I never have put my finger on it, but they were doing something a year ago that they were that one wind farm. I
Oh,
think they were
yes.
looking in,
Yeah.
or something, and there was a major product or equipment supplier. I can't tell you the name, sorry. It's confidential, but there was a major equipment supplier in that realm that saw increases, and so they were evidently doing something.
Okay. Yeah, studying it, making sure we understand as much as we can based on the information we get, and hopefully, like I said, we've seen blips before, so maybe this will be a blip again. Anything else? All in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Passes. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Citizen comments for non-agenda items. Sarah?
I have a quiet voice, so I'll try to put the microphone over here. Sarah Wassinger with the Chamber in Hayes. I just wanted to extend a couple of invitations to our community and also let the commission know of a few events that we have coming up. We do have our fall election forum scheduled for October 6th. That will be held at the Beach Schmidt Performing Arts Center. We will have our USD 49 Board of Education race. We'll go first at 6 o'clock. We'll reset for a brief recess until 7:15, and then of course have the Hayes City Commission candidate race. So we will have more information about that event in our chamber newsletter on October 1st. If people would like to submit specific questions for either of those races, we are happy to have them do so. And just wanted to also share a few quick exciting things happening. We have 900 students from Ellis County that will be participating in our first annual Ellis County High School Career Experience Day. That will include sophomores through seniors at Ellis, Victoria, TMP, and Hayes High School from 8:15 to 11:15.
How many?
900.
Wow.
This
Wow,
is
that's a big number.
going to be huge. We're trying really hard to connect our local students with our business community so they have a better understanding of what career opportunities exist right here in Ellis County. With our workforce projections continuing to be under 4%, they've been under 3% for the better part of the last 5 years. We need to do a better job in recruiting those children as they age in the school system and become young adults to want to stay here. And then just wanted to just say thank you to all of you for everything that you've been doing to help kind of keep our budget safe as a citizen and as a chamber member. I know the feedback we've been hearing from the business community has been positive with the mill levy decision, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Any other citizen comments, not agenda? Okay. The consent agenda, we have a revision to the cereal malt beverage. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Reuter, seconded by Commissioner Barrick. Any questions?
I think, Colin, could you explain this a little bit, just for the
Sure.
public?
So, state law recently changed, and the old way that C&B license fees were collected is it was all collected by the city, and then we would send a payment to the state for their portion. The laws changed where the state will collect their portion directly now, so we'll no longer have to send that, which means we had to lower our fees by $25 because that was the state fee. So,
And staff appreciates that.
yes, they won't have to be tracking the state money anymore, so they do like that.
Thank you.
Very good. I have,
You made a motion,
yeah,
didn't
I'm
Yep.
Sorry,
flipped
I
out here
screwed you
listening
up.
to the, that's okay, you shouldn't ask a question in the middle, no, you should.
Sorry.
Any other questions, comments? If not, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Thank you, Elena.
She opposed it.
Passes 5-0. What?
She opposed it. She said aye after you said
Oh.
Don't laugh, you get in trouble.
Okay, in new business, Arc Park Phase 3 authorized the Arc Park Central Plains to proceed with construction of Phase 3 improvements at the Hayes Arc Park as presented with oversight provided by the Parks Director.
Hello, Sarah Meitner. I'm the Executive Director at the Heartland Community Foundation and representing the Arc of Central Plains as their board president here today. Let me flip through, I guess. We are here to request permission to proceed with Phase 3 as presented. We do have a different site plan to share, but want to give an update on that and answer any questions. So this is our revised site plan. After doing some fundraising for a while and trying to communicate with the public about what our grand plans for Phase 3 looked like, we found that it was a little bit harder to fundraise for a park that to the general public looked complete. And so we're going to go ahead and forward with prioritizing the dedicated cornhole space and a new picnic area, picnic pavilion with a new shelter. We'll be able to come in under budget with the money that we've raised and finish out this area so that we can move on to other projects that the organization is pursuing. So here's a closer look at what that new site plan looks like. We have adjusted prior plans, like I said. The picnic shelter will be at the center. It features a hexagon shape. There's 2 dedicated cornhole spaces on either side, and there is area from the designer to put a garden plaza there in the middle. We would maybe consider adding some sensory elements or some art pieces or something if the budget allows, and could certainly visit with park staff if we need to for that garden plaza. Here's a closer look at the cornhole area. It'll feature turf lanes with cement infrastructure around it for durability and just lower maintenance. The cornhole boards are made of concrete, but will have a slick called digi-printed material that's coated on top of it to help the bags continue to slide, and mimic what a wooden cornhole board would look like. But more than anything, it's accessible and it's easy for our athletes and the community at large to access. There will be shaded dugouts, similar to what a baseball dugout would look like in the photo, and benches there. This will help it be a great space for tournaments, for our athletes to utilize and sit and watch and wait their turn or root on their friends. We think that in addition to the ARC utilizing this space, the community at large will utilize this space. And by having a picnic shelter there right next to it, it'll really facilitate those tournaments and those events. So this is proposed as another 30-foot hexagon-shaped shelter. It will be, we'll put it out for bid as well, so it'll be similar most likely to the other one that is already there at the park. That one is one of the most popular shelters in town. It's frequently rented, so we know that there is definitely a need for a second one. Yeah, so it'll be right there, and it'll be sort of the centerpiece. The estimated cost, with including a contingency for this project as proposed, including all of the sidewalks, receptacles, signage, our donor sign, it comes in at around $480,000. It was just below $500,000. That's assuming that we have ASCO be our full, turnkey manufacturer, and we do not want to do that. We want to put it out for bid with the guidance of Jeff Boyle and his team, so that we can hopefully find a local contractor and purchase the equipment from the manufacturer, but do some of that groundwork and concrete work and things at hopefully a lower cost. We know the shelter, as for example, we can get at a lower price. So we're hoping that it actually comes in closer to $300,000, but this is the price that we've put forward, and we have plenty to cover it at the ARC. If something were to pop up, the ARC is also prepared to cover any gaps. So we're not asking for any money from the city for this project, but we are asking to proceed with plans, construction of phase 3, improvements there as presented here, and with oversight, of course, from Jeff Boyle. Are there any questions? Oh, sorry.
Should we make a motion first?
Yeah,
I would make a motion first. I move.
I'm
Ooh.
sitting quietly waiting.
Move to authorize the ARC of Central Plains to proceed with the construction of Phase 3 improvements at the Hayes ARC Park as presented, with oversight provided by the Parks Director.
Second.
Been moved. Any discussion?
I do have some questions for Jeff,
Jeff.
please. Because I'll start, first of all, I absolutely love the project. This has been approved for, what, a couple years? I don't know, how long have you been raising for the, couple years, so it's been approved. A question, I've probably been the most outspoken on the parks, and, we hear from you, they're unsustainable, what we're doing currently. How much time, first question is, how much time do you think this will add to the park workers? I mean, I know it's hard to tell. But
Yeah, as it's designed, I mean, it is fairly small maintenance. Nothing here is really that degradable. Nothing. I don't have any concerns with the overall. The only thing that I will be checking in on a little more in depth before we even get started are like the cornhole boards. I have lots of questions about those. I'd like to have all those questions answered before we move forward with anything. Not necessarily that, I guess I'm talking about I'm not familiar with them, so I want to not only talk to some of the manufacturers, but I want to call some other cities and verify with them what has worked best.
Has other cities done something like this?
I'm not familiar with any. I know there's a lot of cities that have cornhole courts they've put in,
Right,
yes.
right.
ASCO had examples of it to show us, or like images to show us
Okay.
of the other companies. The difference though is that they had advertisements on them.
Right.
So I didn't want to use those photos and mislead that we were gonna put ads on them. We want solid color and have them in colored by lanes. But certainly we want Jeff and his team to feel comfortable with it.
There is some maintenance also on that turf. It didn't take us long to realize on the Arc Park playground that various things, pine needles, leaves, those sort of things get blown in. There's no easy way to remove it. We bought a small groomer. It does a pretty nice job. So there will be some maintenance on that, keeping those clean, especially during fall, when leaves are falling, those sort of things. The other concern is our mowing equipment. When we go through there with the mower, if the wind's blowing, that grass is likely going to start flying around. So we might be spending some time on that turf. I would rather have that turf though than grass, trying to
yeah.
grow grass in there.
That's just
Because
I agree. Yeah.
I have a feeling, well, I know for a fact that our local group that plays cornhole down at 10th and Main right now in the pavilion, I know I've had discussions with them. They're wanting to go up here and use this now.
Awesome.
So I know that grass is not going to be an ideal situation
Yeah.
up there, so we're okay with that.
No, that's, I mean, I think it's great. I just, we've had this, and I've said it many times. I think we need to sooner than later have a conversation on how we're going to move forward with the parks. And I know city staff said they take care of that because you've had this conversation with us for years, and I just think we need to do something. I love how this park is always full when you go by there. It seems like, but you go by other parks, we spend a lot of money on them, and there's like 2 people in there. And I just think we can have great parks, but maybe do better the way we're taking care, or not taking care of, the way we finance them, I guess. My opinion.
I think we talked about it before, and I think that will be a subject of the retreat, and I think it will spend a lot of time on that at that point. I just had one little question. I'll just say it was David. David Klingon sent me something wonderful after we were here the last time, of this cornhole. It was unbelievable. And the only reason I
like it.
bring it up is I don't know how the surfaces vary. They don't look the same. The ones that you can't, they don't look the same as yours. And I don't know if they're cheaper, more expensive. Have you seen that, Jeff?
Those
Yeah.
boards that they have, yeah.
He shared it with me
Is
last
he?
week. It's really cool.
It really is cool, but it's also, it's my favorite phrase when something like that's where do money come from? It looks like a great thing if you're going to move forward with raising money, because it's becoming more popular all the time. Enhancing the park up there. I had family in town last weekend that had never been to the Art Park, and we all went over there just to take a look. Hour and a half later, we went back home. They just absolutely loved it. They're from Manhattan, and they just thought it was a very special place. Very special.
And look how many communities have built something like this just recently. I know Colby, Russell, I think Russell?
Hasn't been built yet.
Okay, but
They're
they're on the
working on it,
process,
yeah.
yeah. So,
I just had a quick question to follow up on this kind of stuff. We always have a pretty brutal sun out in western Kansas. Have you noticed in the gazebo that's already in the art park, has there been any sort of damage from the sun kind of a thing? Is this going to last
No,
the full 25 years or whatever
it
that we
should
expect
last.
it to?
And there's a lot of depending factors there. Like I said, we haven't done any design work. So as we're looking at these shelter houses, wood is one thing compared to metal.
Yep.
Wood's easy to carve in. It requires staining. So there's a lot of things there that we might look at. We could stay with a similar design, but maybe it's not necessarily wood. They make steel post frame shelter houses now that, of course, you could argue, well, eventually they're going to need painted. So there's some arguments both directions there, but I have some questions about the design, how we're going to build that, what it's going to look like, what it's going to be made of. We want to go with the most maintenance-free that's available because, as mentioned, maintenance is an issue, as much infrastructure as we have. So we're going to look at all that. We need to there's a lot of things that I need to talk to Sarah about. We want to get to this point and find out, is the commission supportive of it or not, and now we'll start really digging in deep on what exactly are we going to do. And I'd be more than happy to share that as we move along, share that with the commission, and if you have any questions, whatever, we can certainly address it.
I didn't ask last week, Jeff, but have you applied any kind of a fiscal note to this? An annual fiscal, what it's going to cost annual? I know when we did the pavilion, I was expecting a bigger number, and it ended up being like $1,285.
Yeah, and this is similar to like the Arc Park. The numbers we came up with for the Arc Park were reasonably close. I would say if we'd missed the ball on something, it was the turf that gets the debris in it. That wasn't really well thought out. It's one of those things you kind of learn from.
Learn as we go.
Yeah, as we go, and that was one thing that was definitely not part of that plan, was having to go up and basically it's like vacuuming your carpet at home.
Yeah.
We have to go up there fairly routinely and do that. These strips here, this is away from a lot of things. A lot of, the Art Park has pine trees, deciduous trees all the way around it. This is a little more away from the trees, so to speak. That doesn't mean we won't want to put a few trees in maybe there. But I don't think this is going to require as much care and upkeep as the turf on the Art Park. Yeah, for, fiscal note, I mean, we're just talking a few thousand, a couple thousand a year, you know, of some labor, and we'll use the same groomer that we use at the Art Park on the cornhole courts, so there won't be any equipment bought, anything along those lines. So, and then like at the garden that was mentioned, I don't want you to think of that as a succulent botanica type setup. We would plan on some drought tolerant plants, some low maintenance drought tolerant plants that still look nice but don't require us using a lot of water and a lot of maintenance work on those.
Just don't use cactus.
Yeah.
All right,
that
Commissioner
would be good.
Cunningham, did I hear, do you have a question?
Yes, sorry, I have a question for Jeff. And you may not know the answer tonight, but I'm curious on our shelter houses, the rent, I guess it's not a rental, but the reservations, how often do we have, I guess, a need for more shelter houses to be able to meet those requests for reservations?
I think at this
Specific-
park,
is she
yes.
asking- Yeah, okay.
At most other parks other than Frontier, no. That would be my answer. This park,
Okay.
I think this park, I know for a fact this park has had some people call in saying, well, I see that I can't reserve it. Are they really going to be there that full time? Because we'd like to reserve it. And the answer is, if they reserved it for 3 hours, we have to respect that and they get it for 3 hours. So I do think at this park that it's legit. I would not be able to say that. I would not be able to say that at most other parks except maybe Frontier Park.
Okay, thank you. That was the answer I was looking for, so I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
I just want to say thank you to the community for raising, almost $500,000 for this project. It wasn't a request, hey, we'd like to do this. It was, hey, we're going to raise the money and do this because we want to give this to the community and give them something to do. And the
I'll add
community
two
at
more
large.
points also, just
Yeah,
while we're
absolutely.
talking. The Google Analytics for people who search the ARC Park and pull the map. So there's not locals because they need to pull a map to see where to go. Those figures come to my email, so I see them every month. And between May and August, we had over 2,500 pulling of the map using Google. So we know people from out of town are coming, and so it is widely used. And we recognize the sort of the jewel that it's become in the community and wear that proudly. The other part is we did set up the fund at the Heartland Community Foundation to help go toward long-term maintenance as we think about replacing the shelters or the flooring or the turf someday maybe or whatever. And that is something that is designed to grow through investment and additional contributions. Just from any community member or entity that would like to help support that so it can grow for the long term. The other thing is there was some resurfacing done on the playground this spring, and we did coordinate with Jeff as an ARC to help pay for that. And so for at least a while, as long as we have this open communication, I think we're willing to help with maintenance, really recognizing the sales at the thrift store, because that's really what is like for things like that hasn't really been donor driven. It's been utilizing the money earned at the thrift store, which is going toward a number of projects, and this just happens to be one of them. So.
I was going to ask about that fund and about the expenses. I think if there's just more awareness of it, I think, Sarah, could be huge because people really respect the whole process. They try to keep it as nice as possible. I'm up there a lot and in that area walking. I don't see a lot of trash and a lot of stuff around. I think people are proud and take care of it. I don't know, Jeff, if you see it any worse than any place else. Most do. Yeah, it's just a special place, and I appreciate that you decided to jump forward with the next project. I've never known you to stop in the middle of one, so that was kind of surprising. And
We already had we have the Harvest Haze project in
Yes,
partnership
yes.
with Bethesda out there. We're doing a lot of work out there. We have more employees in the store. We have Buffalo Adventures, Healthy Buffaloes. These are just working with the IDD community, not just in Hays. I mean, we really are drawing from a wide circle around Ellis County. But we also have the ARC also established the ARC Cares Fund at Heartland Community Foundation. They're making grants out of that to individuals who need help or to organizations. They granted to Victoria Schools for special ed programs. So again, that money is coming from a percentage of the store sales go into that fund annually to help.
Well, as important as economic sustainability in our community, quality of life is right there with it. It's people are looking for that when they're coming to move to our community and so forth. So we keep our eye on it all the time, and that's near and dear to my heart. So I personally appreciate everything you've done. This is a great space, and I don't doubt that you're not going to continue doing things.
Finish it up.
Yeah.
And move on.
Anything else?
Not really.
Not. I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you so much.
Item 7, request for permission to install painted bison statues in the city of Hayes, including some public spaces.
We need our
Getting
little
back
mascot.
up there, yeah.
Sarah Meitner with the Heartland Community Foundation, and I'm going to introduce 3 members of our Youth Action Council who will do the bulk of the speaking for you all. The Youth Action Council that was established 4 years ago to make up student representatives 10th through 12th grade at all of our 8 area Heartland high schools. We have 43 members this year, including 21, I believe, in Ellis County. And this has been a YAC project in the works for a while now. So I will let Savannah start.
Hi, my name is Savannah Klingen. I'm a senior at Hayes High. The project that we're presenting is the Bison on the Loose project. We would like to put 25 life-size fiberglass bison statues around the Ellis County area, so in Hayes, Victoria, and Ellis. They'll be painted by local and student artists in ways that will reflect Kansas heritage and history in colorful, maybe flowery ways. Our goal is to increase tourism, attract some visitors, and make make an interactive attraction around Ellis County areas. And this is a joint project with, like she said, the Youth Action Council, multiple high schools that are coming together, asking people for permission, or asking people for money, and it's a unison. Oh goodness, I can't talk. That's a combination, joint effort. Yes.
Hello, I am Oakley Wickers from Hayes High School, and I am a senior as well. So I'm going to be talking about the why of why we use bison and just the project in general. It really celebrates the local heritage, so it highlights Ellis County's history, culture, and identity through public art. It kind of creates a visible symbol that residents can connect with and take pride in for their community. It boosts tourism and local economy, so it can draw visitors to multiple locations, which also supports shops, restaurants, and attractions. So if there was one on Main Street, they can go down to all the Main Street restaurants or shops, so it kind of gives them more of an idea of Hayes. It generates family-friendly experiences that attract both locals and out-of-town guests. It encourages engagement by inviting residents to interact with public spaces in new ways through maps, tours, and events. So we were really wanting, or kind of hoping that the residents, there would be an interactive way, and we've been thinking about that, how they can either go visit all of them, take pictures with all of them, kind of make it a scavenger hunt. We were just thinking about different ways that it can interact with the community. It strengthens connections between neighborhoods, downtowns, and parks. It promotes art and creativity, so it showcases the work of local student artists in prominent public spaces. It inspires creativity and the appreciation for arts across the community. So it just adds some more kind of flair to Hayes and some great work that is done by local students. Kind of why we chose bison In 2026, we will celebrate 110 years since James Scotty Phillips brought the first herd of bison to Hayes in 1916, which is honoring the city's historic herd and the bison's significance to our community. When a lot of people think of Hayes, they think of bison. I mean, everyone knows that we have them out there on the bypass and people go visit them a lot. So that kind of just shows that throughout then the whole community.
I'm Mariella Dreiling. I'm also a senior at Hayes High School. This is a little bit about just our collaboration together. So we have students from Hayes High, TMP, Ellis, and Victoria. And since we are a 4-school group, you could say, we want to have bison not only in Hayes, but also in Ellis and Victoria. And we already have permission from Ellis to put them on public property. So as Oakley and Savannah already kind of said, the project just really encourages collaboration between teens, local artists, schools, and businesses to all celebrate our shared heritage and culture and just make Hayes like a more fun and inviting place to be in.
You kind of settled in there,
Just
Sarah.
was listening to them. They're doing so good. Okay, well, I'm going to go over the details for everyone who doesn't know or hasn't heard. So we heard, pun.
Pun intended.
Nicely
Okay,
done.
so these are our big statues, shooting for life size, so about 6.5 feet long by 5.5 feet at the hump. That's about right. So they will be installed in various locations throughout Ellis County with the goal of 3 in Ellis, 2 in Victoria, and 20 in Hayes. The total number of statues will depend on the total of funds raised. The production of each bison includes, and the price that we've listed, includes the manufacturing, the shipping, the concrete base, mounting and moving, paint and paint supplies, and the painter's time, as well as the auto top coat that will need to be placed on top of it so it can help enhance the durability, as well as enough money set aside to do a second top coat in 7 to 10 years. The sponsorship price for each bison is $5,000. We are recognizing all donations of $500 and above on the statue of their choice. As you can see, there's plans for like a sign on the bottom of the concrete base that will have the bison's name as well as who the sponsor was of that bison or the one that they've selected, with a limit of 10 per statue. But gifts of any amount are welcome. All the dollars raised in this project will go toward this project. This is not meant to be a fundraiser for Youth Action Council where we're going to set money aside and go toward any other things. That $5,000 is fully going into this. So each will be painted uniquely in a theme that helps reflect the history and culture of our county. So we've thought about lots of fun ideas for that. They will be painted by a mix of student artists and professional artists. So each high school art department will get one to paint as a class under the direction of that art teacher. 11 will go out for jury among professional artists, and then 10 will be made available to student groups at Fort Hayes under the direction of Dr. Amy Schmierbach. They will be painted, the ones by student artists, utilizing creating a studio space out at the Micro Factory in exchange for putting a bison out at the Micro Factory after we're all finished. So some of the themes that we've dreamed up, but we're certainly interested in hearing feedback, be Volga German, Railroad, Wild West, Big Creek, Fort Hayes, Native Tribes, Oktoberfest, Veterans, Downtown, Oil Ag, Hospital, Historic Fort, Roundabouts, the white bison, sunflowers, fossils, water conservation, bike trails, you name it. We have a lengthy list of possible themes. So as I said, it will be covered in a clear auto coat for longevity and to help with weathering. And about $400 per bison will be set aside in a fund held at the Community Foundation so that we can have a pot to put toward any repairs that might be needed, if there's damage to or graffiti to any of the bison after it is installed, but also to do a second top coat of that auto paint in 7 to 10 years. That is just a range. The students did check with some other communities that have a similar art installation, but maybe a different statue. And they said that ones that are in high sun areas might need that after 7 years. Others, maybe it's 10 or longer. So it would have to be something. We plan to continue the partnership with the new Art in Community program out at Fort Hays so that painting can happen. If a statue is damaged beyond repair, it will be removed and taken offline. We hope that doesn't happen, but expect that it might. Something could be hit by a car or damaged in hail, and that is just a risk that we're taking with this. The goal is for the majority of the statues to last 15 to 20 years. So not a permanent installation, though some communities have been able to have some that have lasted longer than that. Some have moved indoors. I could see one moving indoors at like Sternberg, for example, or something after a certain time period if they want to extend it. I don't know. We'll have to see on that. It'll be mounted on concrete for safety and durability, and a sign at the base will feature the sponsor's name. And each bison will get a fun theme name. So that's it.
So some other details I have for you guys. Like Sarah said, we have the collaboration with Fort Hays Art. So the art in the community students will assist with the painting and jury process. The faculty will oversee that to make sure that there is quality, supply logistics, and educational value for those students. It will provide hands-on public art experience for those students who are interested in that. Ensuring art standard, all the designs will go through a design submission and jury process before approval, so there will be no offensive imagery, words, or business logos allowed. Like Sarah said, there will be that clear auto paint applied to protect the statues. Partnership with Hess Services, they will do the installation and the concrete anchoring of all of the statues. They will also transport between locations provided as needed. And the costs that are included in the project budget are like included in this. So Hess, our $5,000, Hess is included, like to get paid in that. The project timeline, the fundraising is largely complete, but additional pledges are expected. Painting coordinated with Fort Hays local artists will be upon shipment from the manufacturer this winter. Statues installed in the spring of 2026, and like Sarah said, hoping for a 15 to 20 year lifespan of these bison. What happens if damaged? So Heartland will recover or cover the repairs or touch-ups as needed. If it is beyond repair, it'll just be removed and it will not be put back up unless the donor chooses that they want to fund another bison. So obviously we won't put them in places that cars can easily hit them, but I mean, you never know what happens. So if a car does hit it and it is completely shattered, then that is up to the donor if they want to redo another one, and if not, it'll just say goodbye.
All right, at $5,000 per bison and a goal of 25, the math comes up that our goal was $125,000. Sarah has helped the members, the youth of Youth Action Council, learn a very important life skill of how to ask people for money. And I think we've done a pretty good job of it so far. That's actually wrong. We are currently at 120,000 in donations, so just 5,000 short of our goal. And once we become a little more public and advertise the project more, I'm sure that we'll get some more donations and some more attention, and hopefully we can exceed our goal of 25 bison and have even more. And that we have an Instagram page that is still getting added to. But yes, we're just gonna work on some some more advertising and hope that the fundraising will come along with it.
So the fundraising, the amount you, the amount you raise over the 125 will be just for maintenance down the road.
More
More bison.
Bison.
More
Bison.
That's a lot
She
of
almost
bison.
said buffalo Reese.
She caught herself.
So for the millions watching at home,
That's my line.
do you have an online link that people can go to purchase a bison, or do they only have to do it through that form you have?
That's a her question. I guess.
There is normally an online link, but GiveFest, our community-wide giving day, starts next week. And when I looked this week to find it, it's not on. We're in the middle of transitioning with taking down the ones that aren't participating in GiveFest and keeping up the ones that are. So, but yes, they can. There's a way to make that donation online. But I'd like to hear from them because we'd like to know what their. Of course, I'd reach out what their theme preference might be, if they have a location preference in mind, if they're a private business, if they're interested in hosting one, or if it's a certain amount, if they have another idea for another collaborator to go in on one together. And also if they're thinking of a theme that we already have covered, I don't want somebody to be disappointed that they can't do an Oktoberfest theme because we already have an Oktoberfest sponsor. So that's why I would like to have the conversation. And I will just say for the record, for everyone listening, that I didn't go to any of the fundraising meetings. I sent our students, and not just these three girls, but all of the, and actually that's my next slide, right? Or that's here, this one. These are the members on the list are our current members of the Youth Action Council. So those seniors in particular, and there's a bunch of them, really helped with the fundraising last spring. We really kicked it in March, April, and May. But there were and some juniors on there as well. Their sophomores are all new, so they've inherited a project with great enthusiasm. But then our alums, several of our YAC alums, some of them are students at Fort Hays. I said last week I had heard from 3 of them when they knew that we were coming to the commission. So they're following along, and they've all helped and contributed because it has been in the works for a while. So, what we need from you all, or what we're here to request, is a couple of things. One, just support for the project. We've done a lot of this fundraising without really sharing the details community-wide, and that was intentional. We wanted to sort of see what the response might be, and wanted to be able to come to you with the funds either pledged or in hand. But we would love your support and endorsement of this countywide initiative. But we also would like to have you consider permission for putting up some of these bison in public spaces. We are prepared to move forward with putting them all in private spaces, but as we think about this initiative and what it could mean and how it could be enhanced, we all are really in agreement that a mix of private and public spaces would help it to be even more impactful. We would love to direct our visitors or even our residents to points of interest in town that are visible and interesting, and we want them to visit. We want them to come out to Bickelschmidt, or to the Welcome Center if they've never stopped in, our Arc Park and other places, the pool. And so we have listed on here requested locations for consideration by 3 priorities. Priority 1 are those that have already been identified by a donor as a location that they would like to put a bison in. So, for example, the Frontier Park by the bike path, Women Who Lead, they're another one. The Hayes Bicyclist Group would like to sponsor one that's dedicated to bike paths and to trails and have it up there by the bike path. Women Who Lead have taken sponsorship of Sunrise Park, and they would like to have one at Sunrise Park that's dedicated to the women of Ellis County. Union Pacific Railroad granted us a grant for one to put somewhere near the pavilion or near the railroad tracks. Of course, we could also look at locations in Ellis and Victoria for that, but would like to have one at the downtown pavilion as well. It's a highly visible area. And then Municipal Park, that one is for the Oktoberfest theme, and that's the Oktoberfest committee that would like to put that there and have one in Lederhosen or holding a drink, or I don't know yet what the artist will propose. And then the library as well. So priority 2 are other locations that we've identified as being important, but haven't necessarily been picked specifically by a donor. But we would like for you to consider, and if I was sort of prepared to negotiate locations by priority if we needed to. That's why we broke them up. But the Welcome Center, the Arc Park, Frontier Park by the Bison Herd, out in front of City Hall, the Hayes Pool, Aquatic Park, and then Bickel-Schmidt Complex. And then priority 3 are just additional places that we thought of. Again, if there's a limit or a cap on how many public spaces, we would also look at Veterans Park, the Reynolds Nature Trail, perhaps Abel-Bickel Park. The other 2 that I wanted to add to this was the Sister Cities Plaza, and there was one more I wanted to say. I missed the airport up at the top. That is also a priority 1. We have had 2 donors that have come together to go into that one collectively. So I feel like there was still one more. But and then we're also asking for just feedback and collaboration. You know, these themes are not set in stone until we put it out for jury to get artist sketches. And so we'd love to hear any input that you guys might have about specific themes you'd like to see, and to the community as well. If we're missing something, you know, of course we want it to fit within those parameters of just recognizing the history and the culture of our county, but there's a lot of leeway in there too.
Is the Reynolds Nature Trail the one out by Stern? Yep. It goes past there now.
That's why I wasn't sure if it was Sternberg or if it was City Park, but wanted to be careful, wanted to make sure I got it covered. There might also be some public sidewalks, recognizing still, you know, accessibility, access. The example that came to mind is Cold Stone Creamery. I don't know where he's sponsored one. He's open to any theme, but I don't know where the public sidewalk ends and where his on the side might begin. He's also said kind of out in the parking lot might be fine as well, but there might be public sidewalks. Some other private locations that have committed, Creekside Resort, Bank of Hayes, Astra Bank, Golden Belt Bank. There's more.
If
That's what's
they're-
coming to mind.
If they're installed on public areas, will we have somebody overseeing that? If it's on sidewalks or any of the public places that we have?
So part of the action requested is to have an agreement with the city manager, which I can talk about now if you want. Or
Sure.
Okay, so basically it would be a very brief letter of acceptance, and it would have a lot of the talking points that they brought up. What is the statue made of? Where will it be affixed? If it's going to be in a park, we'd probably want to talk with Parks Director Boyle, you know, about what's a good location because they'll be mowing around it or whatever. Access to the $400 fund, things like that. So, and then when it comes to public sidewalk, we just downtown primarily, and property line goes right to the building, typically in most of those places. So as long as there is ADA access still maintained, I don't think there's a problem.
And that's specifically why I was asking, was about the ADA.
Yep. That's the only
You
thing.
know, they're
we'd
kind
wanna
of
make sure.
big for most of the sidewalks,
Yeah.
but we've had, you know, sort of thought about like the pavilion. There would maybe be space there in the park area or the parking lot area, to still have one at the pavilion and not access a sidewalk, and maybe behind the library, or the other downtown spots were the Historical Society and then Old Stone. And
Well, you've never not had good communication with the city and with Jeff on doing all this stuff. So.
I sort of felt like I was springing it on Jeff, but also didn't know if you guys were going to say no, and didn't know how many would actually end up in parks. So I love that having an agreement and just open communication. And the fund specifically that we're going to put the money in is one that we can pay vendors directly out of. So we could either pay that fee directly if we're having to have his staff clean up something, or if it needs to go to a third-party vendor, or to reimburse the city.
Sounds like you've covered your bases.
Tried to think of everything, but.
Did we make a
Questions?
motion?
Nobody's made a motion yet.
I'll make a motion, or unless you want to, you kind of like Bison.
I move to authorize the Bison on the Loose public art project to install bison statues on select city-owned properties with terms and conditions determined by the city manager.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Barrick, seconded by Commissioner Musil. Any other questions or discussions?
I got a few questions. I think they're positive questions, but I got a lot of questions. So if you have 25 and you've already potentially identified 18 or 19 public spaces, I don't know how many private spaces
I don't
are
know
already
if we're going to do
chosen.
all of these.
Oh, I know
private
you might. I'm just saying, if you've got 10 private already, then we're gonna have to cut down on the public ones. So
And,
it might
and
be
I'm
some-
sort of, we had the Veterans Park in mind because the veterans groups were going to come together and do one, and then they've changed their mind. So that might be one that doesn't happen now. I wanted to just put out possibilities. But I certainly don't mind at all working directly with city manager staff to just make sure that we're prioritizing them in a variety of places with a variety of themes so that it makes sense. But I also don't know if we're going to end up with more than 25 because I foresee a few businesses that had been just kind of waiting to hear, and when we put out a last call, we might end up with more. We even talked about putting one out in a more rural, even like in Shinshin or Catherine or something like that, if the community is open to it. So I think we are, the council certainly is. So some of those final details we won't know until we know for sure how many bison we're going to have.
So what I hear is this kind of a blanket request of the public spaces you've identified, not saying they're all going to have them. Maybe none of them will have them. It's just what you got
Priority
permission.
one, those already have donors who would love
Okay.
to be in those locations. And we did not promise that to them, but told them that we would request permission. So I foresee priority one is, those are for sure. Priority two would be the next batch. But if a donor comes in and says, I absolutely want Veterans Park, then that dictates also maybe the preference. So.
I had this
He
vision.
has a lot more questions.
Oh, sorry. Keep going.
He said he had a lot of questions.
Yeah, I
and he
remember
only
that.
asked
I
one.
do.
Well, I mean, you got a bunch of ideas for themes. Somebody gets to pick the themes, but then you've got a bunch of artists that are supposed to come up with ideas, but their ideas have to fit the themes. Who's matching the artist with the theme?
That is that class. So Amy's class it's called Art in Community, and learning about the jury process is beneficial to them from an educational standpoint as well. So the way that she's proposed it, and we also don't want the donors doing a lot of going back and forth with the artist. And so to simplify it, there'll be a form that a grad student is creating or has worked on that's basically getting donor input from the get-go, and then those parameters and the full guidelines will be made available in the jury process to the professional artist and the student groups at Fort Hays. The student groups are prepared to kind of fill in the gaps so that the professional artists kind of get first pick. And her proposal is that we request 3 sketches, that they can pick a theme and then submit 3 sketches for that theme so that we can pick the sketch and go back and forth on it. It makes sense to me, but also I've never personally done a process like that. I didn't even know what it meant to say we're going to do a jury process.
Oh, jury show, yeah.
So I'm really relying on Amy's help in this, and she's excited for the opportunity that this gives her students who could someday end up in art director
I love that.
roles,
I
things
love
like
that
that.
So
collaboration.
the students are going to be the jury. They're
They'll
going to be the ones that are choosing.
They'll be part of that, yes. And she asked also, like, the Youth Action Council members want to be part of that. I think some might want to be, but I don't think they all will want to be. Others are more interested in the interactive stuff or the social media side, and so we can really pick what they're interested in. If somebody from the commission is interested in that, or I think we're open to.
Well, I was going to mention, I think with the terms and conditions, the city manager, especially the public, should have some input on what they're putting on the bison that we're putting in public spaces.
That would be part of it simply because, since it's a public space, we want
Right.
to make sure it's not derogatory.
Right,
or,
exactly. Which I know you said
But I
it's
think
not
that
going
we
to
would
be.
like to probably not bring, like, for instance, if it's the airport theme and we have an artist who submitted 3 sketches,
Yeah.
the jury, review committee might pick one,
Yeah.
and then that would be the one that
Yeah,
we would
that's-
bring
right.
to
Yes.
city for approval. I don't, unless they would like to see all three, but I could see the going back and forth,
that's too much.
happening more at that jury level, and then if the city at that point says, oh, hold up, then we go back to the artist. I fully anticipate a lot of going back and forth on
And I
that.
think the way it's written says that.
Yeah, it
The
does.
city manager is going to have, and if he assigns it to staff or whatever, but we're going to have the final say-so, so it doesn't have, nothing happens in those areas.
Amy said that it's standard to have those guidelines made, when a request for proposal is put out, the guidelines can be fully laid out to the artist to
Right.
work within them. So those guidelines would include what we've said, no logos or nothing questionable or profane or discriminatory, anything like that.
So the high school art classes, they'll be assigned a theme also?
Well,
or do they
we're
get,
gonna let them have a pick too. After
Okay.
or with what the professional artist, kind of in that thing. The student groups at Fort Hays are gonna fill in the gaps. So the TMP one, I know we'll probably do the TMP themed one. There's a donor that wants to put one out at TMP. I don't know if Ellis would do a railroad theme. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
So, or if they'll do a school theme.
but they don't get to pick their theme? It's going to be a theme that's
Oh,
already
I
been
think
decided?
We'll let them
Okay.
pick. Or it'll be the students, Youth Action Council members representing that school who get to help go to the teacher. The good thing is that Amy knows all of those teachers.
That's what-
They've
yeah.
come
Helps.
through Fort Hays, or
Right.
she's worked with them before. She's also going to order all of the paint and supplies for the high schools, and then they will be painting out at the micro factory also, so that it's the same. It saves cost by ordering the paint all at the same time, but that we can ensure that the materials are all they're the same.
Any more questions?
Is it just going to be a sketch? Or are they going to do paintings of their proposal things?
We've said
Or can we put them on? Are
sketches.
they going to put them on a maquette, like something that's that size?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I've heard sketch, but I could see, I don't know, some of these artists, if they're a more sculpture, like there's a sculpture community or a sculpture student group at Fort Hays, theirs might be a small, I really don't know. I've heard sketch, but I don't know.
Okay.
More to come.
Do I hear a concern, one specific concern? I'm hearing concern from you. What's your biggest concern about this?
No, part of it was I just was wanting to, I could see like artists wanting to do something on their own, but then they're being given a choice of a theme, and they have to pick a theme, and is it a theme and a location, and the people that want the location might not want this artist for the theme, but the artist has been,
We have
wanted to
had-
make sure that everything was coordinated,
there have
and then it's
been
be
a
perfectly
couple
fine.
That
With Amy
have
and-
brought the artist to us.
Yes.
They have an artist in mind. And so that's where the student groups of Fort Hays will fill in the gaps, so that we can prioritize the ones who bring an artist. The professional artists get to pick if they have a certain theme they're more interested in. And she's like, we can assign a theme to them. And then that student group still gets paid as a group, and so then it goes toward their club pot of money, I guess, to spend on, events or things that they do as a club. So
This is really a major project, and what you've done before you ever came to us is just really stellar. You guys have just been terrific. You've done a major job. I appreciate the fact that you've thought through the process of what happens if they're damaged, because we certainly don't want them around. That was my first question. But I think what I'm hearing, at least today, is there's just tremendous collaboration going on all over the place with this project. And then having the, whatever kind of document we're coming up with, the terms and conditions determined by the city manager, I think that covers it. And I don't have a question that if he has any concerns about it, that he would come to the commissioners or a commissioner or whatever. So the collaboration, I think, is going to be great. And I don't think, I don't have any concerns, I'll put it that way. I can't imagine that one gets past you or those groups, that's not going to be appropriate.
Oh, of course. And also, I'm not expecting this to be free of hiccups. It will be.
Exactly.
And there was several points along the way where I've gone, do I really want to do this? But at the end of the day, the kids are very passionate about it, and each time I'm with them, that motivates me, and we want to see it through. And we really want to celebrate next spring before these girls graduate with a ribbon cutting of this project and commemorate the milestone year and get some fun bison around the area.
I don't know if the Wildcats have anything, but I know the Jayhawks have them all over the campus, and that's always fun to watch. I'm not sure about the Wildcats. Do they have anything like that? I think so.
We're not quite as insistent on shoving our mascot.
You're more demure than that.
That was good.
I
That was good.
appreciate that word.
That was very good.
That was good.
That was good, Jared.
You know-
I'm always hesitant to say it because he's always ready for
I
me.
know. I just have this vision of a traveler coming to town and seeing 25 bison going to an auto body shop. You're getting a clear coat on. I think it'd be awesome.
Well, we were, I was visiting with Dallas Hazelhurst this week, and he had a group, it was last Sunday, there was a group that was visiting from all around the country. It was this travel group, and they were checking out the mural on the side of his building. It was a Sunday, and there wasn't as much open downtown at that time, and but they were looking at art, and they travel the country looking at art. And he said, he goes, I thought of your project because your project would have been perfect for that group to go out and see more parts of Ellis County and learn about our county before they moved on to the next community. And yeah, so it's the kind of, you never know who we might welcome, how this might fit. I've heard we have some groups that want to do, we've talked with him about 3D printing small ones. It'd be great to maybe package it with a little paint your own kit and sell them from someplace and get, like, embrace this for other collaborative ways that the CVB could utilize or another business or organization.
You can get the whole mini collection of all
We
of
could
them.
do a children's.
That'd be
we could do
awesome.
a
I'm going to move
children's
this
book
thing
about
along
it,
here pretty
or,
quick.
You know, like a Bison Day or
They
something.
could sell it at Walmart, you know.
Yeah.
Whole group.
Like there's or merch, you know, shirts about it and all of that.
I already can, yeah, never mind. We won't go there. I have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion?
I just like last week, I just like to tell the girls and I guess the ones that have already graduated, great job on this. You know, it's not very often people come and basically have raised all the money when they come to us. Most time people want us to, you know, donate the whole project, whatever. So thank you guys, appreciate it, and I'm very excited about this. I think this will bring something to Hayes that's we've never done. It will be different. We'll have people complain because it's too different, but I think it's phenomenal.
Good job,
Commissioner
Tamiak.
Reuter, you have been very quiet. Do you have time?
Oh, I'm excited. I love bison.
He wants
so
to do a
I want to turn one of them
time
into a time capsule. yeah.
Mason,
love
I
that.
think it's
I
a
love
great
that
So, and I'll
idea.
just reiterate for the public that this was all fundraised privately. And
Right.
so it's been a combination of grants, which the kids wrote those applications. Heartland did have some money in there. Patterson Family Foundation, Union Pacific,
The
and
students wrote the
private
grants.
donors. Yep. Jake Brady and
Wow.
Brianna Seiler
That's
wrote
impressive.
the Union Pacific grant and the
That's
one
cool.
to Heartland.
Very cool.
That's fantastic.
Congratulations, kids. That's-
Mason wants to put one in the bison herd.
I'm going to put one in my front yard.
I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, Commissioner Cunningham. Progress report. Thank you, guys. It's fun and exciting, and it's fun to be hearing about it with you, and can't wait to see it all happen.
Good afternoon, Colin Belzer, Deputy City Manager. For this month's progress report, Public Works Service Division did repair some failed areas in the 2800 block of Oak. At 11th and Oak, they replaced and laid them down 2,866 bricks.
My guys.
As part of the water leak repair. Yep. Also, at 200 block of East 4th, curb and gutter pavement repairs were also done here. And then with the new school project, the school speed zone flasher near Anthony Drive was relocated to be 300 feet east of Harvest after the expansion of the school zone due to the new high school. Hayes Fire Department partnered with Ellis County Fire Department and Sherman County Fire Department to practice setting up a base of operation at a large-scale disaster event.
So the Hayes Fire Department and Sherman County Fire Department actually make up a task force called Task Force 7, and they're a state deployable tech rescue team. So they often do training together. Municipal Hayes Aquatic Park parking lot received a seal coat as well as new pavement markings. And at the Go Truck Go event, staff did take the tree spade to show how larger trees are easily transplanted in city parks from the tree farm. Staff did stain signs and structures throughout the parks to help enhance and prolong the life of the wood. And then staff also installed solar lights and landscaping that were donated by the women who lead on their new sign at Sunrise Park. Police members of the police department participated in the 9/11 Memorial Stair Climb at Lewis Field. There were other departments that also participated in this, but they provided the photo, so they'll get the public acknowledgement. Bike patrol officers also participated in Pedal in the Park, an event that taught safety to young bike riders in the community. And then water resources staff manned a booth at the Fort Hays State Back to School picnic on August 18th to educate new students on Hayes' water conservation. And then, as you know, on August 27th, the governing bodies of Russell and Hayes held a joint meeting. During the meeting, city staff from both Hayes and Russell gave updates on the status of the R9 project. Janet Kuhn with CVB assisted registration at the Kansas Mental Health Summit held at Fort Hays State University's campus, August 26th and 27th. In early September, they had 2 billboards rewrapped from their existing inventory. These billboards are on I-70 westbound at mile marker 187 and mile marker 192 near Russell. They also partnered with Hayes Rec Commission to put on the 2-day Hayes Prairie Winds Kite Show at the Bickel-Schmidt Sports Complex. CVB handed out pinwheels and traded Love Hayes t-shirts for social media follows from attendees. And CVB staff partnered with the Hayes Police Department, as kind of already mentioned, to host the first pedal patrol in the park bike and scooter safety event. 88 bicycle helmets were given out thanks to a grant from the Ellis County Legacy Fund and the Heartland Healthy Living Fund of the Heartland Community Foundation. And Ellis County Health Department assisted with the helmet fittings. And they recently sponsored a cleaning of the historic walking tour bronze plaques in downtown Hayes. You can see the difference that has
It's
on those
a
plaques.
huge difference, huge difference.
Project management progress on the Highway 40 lift station is going great. It's about 80% complete. The new lift station is online and active. And the next phase just basically modifies the old lift station into a new manhole. 13th Street is open, as you know, and pavement markings are installed, but right now they're working on pouring the new path that will go along 13th Street towards Commerce Parkway. We are having the parking lot improved at Water Resource Building. The existing surface has been removed and ready for final grading and prep for concrete. And then lastly, the police station. We did have a pre-bid site walkthrough in September. Bids are to be received October 1st, with anticipated start of construction October 13th, and then it is anticipated the project completion date will be October 9th, 2026. Any questions?
Good stuff, good stuff. Thank you, Colin. Hayes Happenings with Melissa.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Melissa Dixon, Director of the Convention and Visitors Bureau. First, I'd like to say happy birthday to Chief Scheibler.
Happy birthday to you.
Some things happening this month. Paws Pumpkin Patch is once again open on Saturdays and Sunday afternoons. And this is just an easy 2.5 miles south of Hayes on Highway 183. If you've never been out there, there's a lot more than pumpkins. There's alpacas, I think. Not
Yes.
llamas. Alpacas. There's s'mores kits to buy. There's a maze. There's train rides. It's a nice family
I
friendly.
think all the alpacas are Patrick Mahomes.
So they are very fluffy, yes. And then the 19th annual Fall Nationals will take place October 2nd through 4th out at the RPM Speedway at the Ellis County Fairgrounds. The annual Walk to End Alzheimer's will be starting at the Union and go around the quad. That'll be October 4th, 9 a.m. And Your Voice Through Cancer Craft Boutique will once again set up in Gross Memorial, and that's October 4th, 9 to 3. The Fox Theater has 2 more shows in October, Baker, Blankenship, and Hinder. Then the Chamber will host their fall election forum October 6th at Beach Schmidt Performing Arts Center. Give Fest. This is sometimes an unfamiliar event because I believe this is only the second year. It's a great time. I've got some notes here. There will be 58 participating organizations. It's a way to encourage community-wide collective giving. And when donors give to the organization's endowed fund, Heartland Community Foundation matches it up to 100%. What I really love is that they give fifth graders a couple bucks and they get to choose their cause. And so it gets them in the practice of donating to what is important to them. That'll be October 10th out at Hayes Recreation Center. Janice Campaign will have their fundraiser, An Empty Place at the Table. That dinner will be October 11th at Rose Garden Banquet Hall. And another tasty fundraiser, Hayes Public Library's annual Wine and Cheese, October 18th, and that will be at the library. Guest speaker, Jackie Stiles. And then my favorite event, fall cleanup. We have been getting lots of calls about this at the Welcome Center, October 20th through 24th. Thank you to all the city departments. Not every community has this, and it makes a difference. I just love it. Hayes Symphony will present Halloween children's concert, Peter and the Wolf. All symphony concerts are free. This one is a little rowdier than most. It's great activity for kids, and there's usually a costume parade that goes along with it. That will be October 26th, Beach Schmidt Performing Arts Center. And then more theater. Hayes Arts Council will present Wichita Children's Theater's The Three Little Pigs. Right after that, October 28th, Beach Schmidt Performing Arts Center. Sternberg Museum always comes through with a fun Halloween event. And they make their creepy critters not so scary. But some kind of Sternberg Monster Mash going on October 30th at the museum. Trick or Treat on the Bricks, October 31st. And I have heard they will have some new volunteer crossing guards to help the kids get around. That'll be on Halloween, 3 to 5:30. School's out. It's gonna be big.
That has the biggest number of kids. I mean, I can't remember last year, but it seems to me it was like 3,000. There was a lot of kids.
It grows every year. Thank you, Chief, for what you do for that as well. And then Trick or Treating at Big Creek Crossing will be at the same time. So if you have time, you can tag team and do both of those. October 31st. And I know I say this every month, but there's so much more than this. Mm-hmm. There's so many more fundraisers. There's 5Ks. There's dinners. There's things to do, programs, and you can find all those on our community events calendar at visithays.com.
Melissa, I really want to congratulate you guys for organizing that pedal patrol in the park. Is that whole word? But the fact that you found the money from people donating, 88 kids have helmets that didn't have them before. I just can't even imagine how appreciative the parents were. And I know from our perspective as citizens, having these kids safer and understanding the value of that safety is really important. So I think putting that together was just brilliant. Thank you.
We couldn't have done it without the police
I
department.
know. And I was going to add it or congratulate him too later.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Commissioners, Commissioner Musil.
I just want to talk. Last night I had the opportunity to speak to the JAG class out at Hayes High. It was their initiation and installation ceremony. I've spoken to the class a few times over the years, but I've never done it this way. And if you guys, if you don't know what JAG is, it's Jobs for American Graduates. It's just a phenomenal. It gives kids an opportunity to be involved in the community, gives them responsibility. They elect officers, and those officers have responsibility. And the kids take great pride in it. And and in the past, they really didn't have a lot in. This year, they have, I believe, 2 classes, like 120, and they also expanded it to the middle school, which I think it's great. It just gets kids involved and understanding what goes on in our community. And I think it's phenomenal, what they're doing with that. And want to welcome everybody into town for Oktoberfest. It's always nice to talk to people when they come back and, say what's changed in Hayes and, how they just love it. So it's nice to have everybody back and be safe. And if you're down there having some drinks, call Uber or somebody. Don't drive. That's it.
Cool. I wanted to just express one thing that I think is really cool about our city, and that is we had a few weeks ago, we had Options and Janice campaign come in with an idea for safe bar training, that maybe we could have an ordinance to require bars and places to participate in that. And what they found is, with the sort of requests and education, that the bars, the owners, the restaurants that are serving alcohol willingly bought in to wanting to participate, which means we don't need an ordinance, right? So education is something that should always come first. And when there's collaboration and cooperation with the community, it shows that our community cares about the safety of our citizens. And that's just a special thing, that we're not up here having to sort of require, something like that, that there is true buy-in, that everybody believes in the quality of life and the public safety of our citizens. I think that's a special thing that we can say about the city of Hayes. And with that, TMP won their homecoming football game last week, so we've got Hayes High and Fort Hayes coming up this week. So good luck to them, and welcome everybody, whether it's for homecoming or if they're just coming in for Oktoberfest. It should be a great weekend, and holy smokes, it's going to be, I don't want to jinx it, but I'm going to anyway. We're going to have sun and 70 to 80 degree weather.
When it
and
starts
not
raining,
storms.
you know who to blame.
But anyway, welcome everybody to our beautiful community.
Commissioner Reuter.
Yeah, I wanted to welcome everybody to this weekend, if they're coming for any of that, or if they just happen to stop by because
You're here.
Because I'm here. Because we have an amazing community. And it's highlighted, through the kids that were here showing what they want to do for our community. Very, very proud of what they did on their own. I mean, for them to write their own grants, go ask for dollars themselves, and then do it they could have fundraised for their own organization. They didn't. They just wanted to do something that highlighted their love for the community. So that's wonderful. Only other thing I have is over the next month in October, the Youth Leadership Advisory Board for us is hosting 2 mental health days at Hayes High. I believe the tentative dates are October 6th and October 20th, where I believe it'll be Kaylee Connor from High Plains Mental Health, Sheriff Brown, and myself, and then the youth board themselves, doing a presentation on mental health and its importance for high schoolers. So that'll be a great opportunity to speak to them. That's all I have.
Everybody's kind of covered everything. I said, as I was looking at the young people today, I was thinking of our Youth Leadership Advisory Board and taking on the mental health issue. They started that last year, and it is such an important issue in our communities, all communities, especially with the young people, and I think it's a great job. We couldn't ask for better kids in this community doing things, out of both high schools and from the county, Ellis and Victoria as well. Education and awareness about everything is what it's all about. Getting people to listen and hear and understand and be aware. So every time they can come up and talk at our podium, we want to invite them to be there. There's a whole bunch of people out there listening. I just know there is. But if there isn't, at least it'll be us talking about it. I too wanted to wish Chief Scheibler a happy birthday.
21.
I thought that was last year's 21.
Oh, it was.
Now he can drink. Good job.
Oktoberfest. Hayes High Homecoming Parade is tomorrow at 5, and then their football game on their wonderful new field. Fort Hayes Homecoming Parade is 11 on Saturday, and they have a 7 p.m. game. Lastly, I have had in the last 30 days, I've had more than 4, which is more than I've ever had before. People talk to me about how much they love the bike trails. Mm-hmm. Where that came out of, I think it's these new e-bikes. I think maybe that's part of it. But I have people actually texting and calling and saying, please continue keeping those up. And for years, all we had was complaining about spending money on bike trails. So maybe we were just ahead of our time. I think
Sure.
that might have been the case.
Sure.
Executive session? We're adjourned.